Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I know we've been off this weekend, but we had that marathon show with the NBA draft. So me, TJ, and Izzy were all kind of burnt out a little bit. So we needed the weekend off. Of course, I'm your host, David On Point. TJ Hopkins should be joining me here shortly. If you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you've come to the right place. We go live basically every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content. And this is going to be our 2022 NBA draft recap. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show so we can continue putting out good content for you guys. Again, I have been David Huffman. Please continue to check us out and please continue to like, share, and subscribe. Every single like, every single share, every single subscriber helps us build the brand. So we continue to thank you for all your support of Prime Sports World over the last month or so. It's been very nice to see. I'm going to share the StreamYard link into the chat, into Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you want to join us and talk a little bit of NBA, go through the NBA draft together, please feel more than welcome to do so. We welcome the fan involvement in the show. The only thing, as we mentioned on every show, is please, keep it semi-PG, so we don't want to get in trouble with the powers that be. That is Facebook/YouTube/Twitter. But yeah, David, Izzy is busy right now, so I don't know if he's going to be on this show. I actually haven't heard from him yet today. So, CEO of Prime Sports World's out doing charitable work, for the sake of the company. So, yeah. All right, yeah. So let's talk a little bit of NBA draft. Let's first recap the first round before we get into winners and losers, because that's what we're here to do. Then we're actually going to talk a little bit about the soap opera that is the Brooklyn Nets right now. Magic take Paolo Banchero first overall. Power forward, small forward out of Duke. The Thunder followed it up by taking the center Chet Holmgren out of Gonzaga. The Rockets followed that up by taking Jabari Smith-Falls to them at 3, or some people might consider that a fall. Power forward out of Auburn. And then we got the Kings taking Keegan Murray in kind of a head-scratching decision. Pistons, Jaden Ivey falls to them at 5. The Pacers draft Benedict Mathurin, 7. The Blazers take Shaedon Sharpe, with one of the biggest wild cards, X factors in this entire draft, since he hasn't played, competitive basketball in over a year. Dyson Daniels off of his goes to the New Orleans Pelicans. The Spurs take Jeremy Sochan, a versatile forward who can do a lot of Draymond Green-esque stuff. So look for him to kind of do stuff like that. The Knicks drafted Osman Deng and then traded him immediately to Oklahoma City as part of a 3-team trade that have also involved Detroit and Charlotte. The Knicks got 3 future first-round picks out of this trade. So the Thunder take Jalen Williams, guard out of Santa Clara. The Hornets take Jalen Duren and then immediately trade him to the Detroit Pistons for another draft pick. Cavaliers take Ochai Agbaji, guard out of Kansas, reigning player of the year in college basketball, I think. Hornets got Mark Williams. The Hawks drafted AJ Griffin, who falls to them kind of at 16. Rockets take Tari Eason. The Bulls take Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry, combo guard out of Arizona. 6'7". Minnesota Timberwolves draft Jake LaRivia. This pick was later traded to Memphis as part of a draft day trade. Spurs take Malachi Branham, forward guard out of Ohio State. The Grizzlies draft Walker Kessler, then traded him to Minnesota, as I mentioned, as part of that draft day trade. And then we have the Nuggets, who take Christian Braun, guard out of Kansas, who can really shoot the ball and defend. Sixers drafted David Roddy and then traded him to Memphis as part of a 3-team draft day trade. That is a real head-scratching trade right there. Everything about that decision. Yeah, Izzy's getting ready for the Jets season. That's right. The Spurs, they take their 3rd first-round pick in this year's draft. They got Blake Leslie out of Notre Dame. The Bucks drafted Marjan Beauchamp out of the G League Ignite, guard, Cabo player. Mavericks drafted Wendell Moore Jr. and then traded him to Minnesota as part of the Kristen Wood trade. Heat, Nikola Jovic goes to them out of Serbia. Warriors draft Beckham Baldwin Jr., combo guard, forward, power forward, 6'10", who can shoot the ball in Milwaukee. Grizzlies draft Ty Washington Jr., then he got traded to Washington to Houston as part of that draft day trade. And then the Thunder traded Peyton Watson, guard out of UCLA, power forward out of UCLA. They traded him immediately to the Denver Nuggets. And also joining me now in the show, now that I've gone through all of the first-round picks. What's up, TJ? How are you, man? Welcome to the show.
slightly irritated because my laptop likes to act stupid when it's freshly started. I've been doing this for I don't know how long. The page likes to take its time loading and it freezes. It's just a hassle. But sorry that took so long.
It's okay, man. Which is good to have you on the show, man. So we just went through the first picks in the draft. Let's talk a little bit about winners and losers.
Okay.
Your winners for the NBA draft. I have to train the NBA draft. I got to change that graphic, but NBA draft winners.
Well, my first winner is definitely the Houston Rockets. For them to get Jabari Smith at 3, that's a steal in my book, and a lot of
100% agree with you. And also taking getting Ty Washington at 29. He had like top 10 buzz at him at one point this season.
Yeah.
Also traded to Houston. They also got Tari Eason, who's a good wing defender. It gives them something they already have on the roster. Can play next to Alberto Sengun. Yeah, I love what Houston did in this draft.
Yeah, Houston for sure is a winner to me. I guess you can get. I wouldn't call the Orlando Magic a winner, but I liken them to.
Well, Paulo Banchero is for sure a winner.
Paulo Banchero is for sure a winner because.
But.
Like they're I don't know who. I don't know. They never announced who won, but like last minute, like bettors were going crazy with betting him to be the first overall pick, and they were like, and everybody was like, no, they're crazy. They're gonna lose all this money just because Banchero's not gonna get drafted number 1. Like everybody was so sure that Jabari Smith was going to get picked number 1 overall, and the winners of betting Banchero to go first overall, they're a 2022 draft winner.
Yeah. all the bettors, yeah.
Because their pockets got fat.
But I just think Paulo Banchero has a higher ceiling than anybody else in this draft. Like this dude could be a star. Like he should be a 20-point game scorer. I think the questions lie on his defensive side of the ball, and I think a little bit about his, maybe a little bit of facilitating for other players. But the dude should be a star coming out of the draft. Like he should win Rookie of the Year.
But like you brought up the defensive side of the ball, like a lot of rookies struggle on that. A lot of rookies struggle on that side of the ball because they're not used to that, right? Like these not this level. They're not used to that level of basketball coming at them, right? Like every level they've played at up until this point, they have either been the best player or they've been the best player. Like there's no one better than them, or they're equal. Like high school, they were the best. College, you might have more equal competition. But you can't say that no one's head and shoulders better than you. For the first time in a lot of these young dudes' lives, they're coming into a league where, hey, you're no longer the best. Right? Everybody's better than you. Right?
I totally agree with you on that. I have another win. I got the Oklahoma City Thunder. I love the Chet Holmgren and the Asomi Dang, and I love Jalen Williams, also getting him the first Santa Clara player to be drafted since Steve Nash in '96.
They got both Jalen Williams.
Yeah, they have both Jalen Williams. They got the defensive-minded forward/center out of Arkansas, and then they got the guard out of Santa Clara. And I this guy from the French guy from the New Zealand Breakers team is very interesting. Yeah, like he's got some real high upside. And like I think that he's going to be interesting next to their core that they already have there in Oklahoma City. SGA, Josh Giddey, him, Chet Holmgren, whoever they want to put it, like the 3 or the 2, however they figure it out. But like it's going to be
figure out some. They got to figure out some rotations. Them and the Houston Rockets. They got to figure out some rotations.
But what you got to do? But what you got to do is, if you have all these draft assets, you eventually got to hit on these picks, and this is how you try to hit on them. Like trading away, like Oklahoma City traded away three picks in this draft. None of them are going to be as good as 11 whenever they go to Oklahoma City. They're not going to be at 11 picks overall. This is good value for them. I also love what Detroit did. Jaden Ivey kind of falls in their lap, and then they just basically give up nothing that we're going to get to Charlotte in a minute, but to get Jalen Duren for what basically is going to be a worse pick than what they got him for, is a home run. And this is one
that
of the
we
two
know
high.
of.
One of the two, no, it won't be. It's a 2025 Milwaukee Bucks pick. The only way that
Oh.
that Bucks pick is going to be better than 13 is if Giannis gets hurt. Like there's no way in no scenario that the Bucks are picking early in the lottery anytime soon.
That's true. But
Like that was a real head scratching decision by Charlotte.
We'll talk about this more so when free agency comes. But I'm a man. Like I'm a man. I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. David, you called it. John Wall. I just got the notification that John Wall and the Rockets have agreed to a buyout. So I was wrong. I'm man enough to admit I was wrong. You got one.
It doesn't happen very often that I get one over you, so I'll take it. But yeah, I love what Detroit did. I mean, they had these two guys high on their board for them to get them both. Kudos, and it actually makes for a real interesting roster. I mean, it's Sadiq Bey at the 3, Jalen Duren at the 5, Marvin Bagley at the 4. If you assuming you keep him, who's a restricted free agent this offseason, Cade Cunningham, and then Jaden Ivey is your front court. Like that is as good a starting lineup, like a borderline playoff team in the Eastern Conference. Maybe. I mean, depending how those guys develop and how they mesh together.
Yeah, and how they treat is Dwayne Casey still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and like you always say, when you have winners, you gotta have losers.
Yep.
So who's your? So go ahead and get that the way. I'm not gonna take yours. Who's your loser?
It's Sacramento. I am. Yeah. Yeah, it's Sacramento.
Wow.
I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense because like they and I 100% realize that if the Sacramento Kings had taken Jaden Ivey at 4, I think they would have gotten killed because they just created another logjam at the guard position. But the Kings are not just one piece away from being a contender. Like they need to take whoever is the best player, regardless of position right now. They can figure out the rest of the stuff later. And to take Murray may be a fantastic basketball player, but Keegan Murray may end up being a fantastic basketball player, but they just drafted on need alone. And when you're drafting this early in the draft, it means your team has a lot of holes. You're not just one little piece away from fixing all your problems. I think they should have tried to the Knicks got 3 first-round picks for 11 in this draft. You don't think if the Kings had made some phone calls to see if they could go to flip this pick, they could have gotten something of value for it? Yes, they could have. Teams love Jaden Ivey. I don't like the decision. They're not one piece away from being a title contender. This felt like they were just drafting because they don't need another guard. They needed somebody who could play the power forward wing position. So we'll just take Keegan Murray, who probably going to be a fine basketball player, but Jaden Ivey's ceiling is way higher.
I 100% disagree with you on the Sacramento Kings. Like,
all right, that's what.
So like trade out, like so what? Trade out, trade back.
Yeah.
What? Like no, they saw their guy. They want drafting on need is you will never. To me, in my eyes, you will never be a loser if you draft on need over best player available. You didn't need Jaden Ivey. You have you have Davion Mitchell. You have De'Aaron Fox. Again, we talked about it ad nauseum. You literally just got out of a situation.
I know.
You literally just got out of a situation, which in your opinion cost you the better player, right? To you, Tyrese Halliburton is better than De'Aaron Fox, right?
Well, not today, but I think his ceiling is high.
But eventually he will be better than De'Aaron Fox, in your opinion.
Yeah.
You literally just got out of that situation. Don't throw yourself back because you couldn't handle it then. So if you couldn't handle it,
but my point, I guess my bigger point is that I would have tried to trade out of that pick. Like I would have found a way to move back like a couple spots. It wouldn't have taken much. Like teams were in love with Jaden Ivey. You could have found a way to get that pick and trade it to somebody else. Oklahoma City would have loved that pick.
This is at what? 1, 2. This is at what? 4. 4.
Yeah.
So you mean like if you trade back to
6, if you go back to 6 or 7, or even with Portland, I think there are scenarios that you could have. You should, like, if you're not going to take it to Jaden Ivey, who's arguably the 4th best player in this draft, you have to trade out of it. It just makes sense. It's where the value is. It's understanding value and understanding that the Kings are not one piece away from being contenders.
Neither are the Pistons. Neither are the Pistons. Neither are the Pacers or the Trailblazers or New Orleans. So there's nothing that
New Orleans is much closer to being from like one piece away than those are the teams you just mentioned.
none of them. Okay, excluding New Orleans, the Pacers aren't a piece away. Detroit isn't a piece away. Like you can say they got the better player, but they now have thrusted themselves into the similar scenario that Sacramento was in a year ago. They got all these guards. All
I,
right, how am I going to play all these guards?
I have already told you they did not.
How am I going to play all these guards?
They're not factoring in what's his name into their future plans. If they could get something valuable for him, they'd trade him away in a heartbeat.
Okay, but the problem is you have to find something. You have to get something of value. Otherwise, they would have did it already.
Until then, he just continues to ride the pine and will barely play 20 minutes a night.
But you wasted a lottery pick on this dude.
Yeah, sometimes you take swings and you miss.
Like you wasted a lottery pick on. Come on now, like there's nothing that tells me that the Pistons are a player away, the Pacers are a player away, or Portland. Portland's like probably gonna lose their player.
Not this offseason, they're not. That's for damn sure.
So there's nothing that tells me that if Sacramento trades out of 4, that Keegan Murray is still going to be there when they get back on the board.
I am, but this is the other thing. I mean, sometimes you just have to be okay with missing out. Like if there were other forwards they could have taken that were, somewhere in the same vicinity that offer a similar set. Like you didn't have to basically take. Not taking Jaden Ivey and not trading back is just head scratching me. I don't get it. That's how I feel about it. Go ahead. And you're free to disagree, but I'm not the only one who feels this way.
Well,
if you go on the internet, everybody agrees with me besides you.
Well, not everybody.
Most people,
but I know you're not. So yeah, again. People, there's nothing wrong with going what you need over BPA, best player available. You didn't need Jaden Ivey in Sacramento. You needed a Keegan Murray. And that's facts. That was facts.
That's true. I mean, Keegan Murray does fit this roster better, but I think where the value was, I think taking Keegan Murray and not trading back and doing something with, even if he had taken the Pistons and called them and gotten something from the Pistons, anything.
There's more risk. There's more risk in trade back, because if you trade back again, what if he's not there by the time you come back up? It happened.
Yeah, you gotta be okay. You gotta be okay. You gotta be okay with that. You gotta be okay with that.
The Kings are the only player that wanted a Keegan Murray. No,
of course not. Portland, he was a top 10 prospect for a reason. Everybody in the top 10 probably would take him at some point once we get outside of the top 4. But Jaden Ivey was the consensus best top 4 players is Banchero, Holmgren, Smith, Ivey. Ivey is the consensus 4th best player. I think they should have done their due diligence. I'm not sure they did. I'm sure they tried to trade back, but they couldn't, or something of that nature. But if I'm the Kings, I would have called the Pistons and be like, hey, literally give us anything and you can have our pick. Like, give us anything of value. Give it. We'll swap picks with you. Just give us something that's decent, and that would work. It would have been fine, because the Pistons wanted Jaden Ivey, and they were bummed when they didn't get when the lottery log didn't work out their way, and they would miss out on the top 4 players in this draft.
No. The Pistons didn't want Jaden Ivey. The Knicks wanted Jaden Ivey.
It's true. They did want Jaden Ivey. And speaking of a loser, it is the New York Knicks, who tried to trade 3 first-round picks for Jaden Ivey. Pistons were like, kick rocks, buddy. All right, go ahead.
No, I'm with you. The Knicks are a loser. Like, they didn't get anyone.
Yeah, they traded. So before, we're gonna get to Kyrie Irving here in a few minutes. But before the draft, during this draft, the Knicks traded away their draft pick, and they got 3 future first-round picks, and they were making it look like they were going to make a push to trade for Kyrie Irving, because they were making cap. All they had to do was trade one more contract, and they had max cap space, and they could have just signed Kyrie Irving outright. So they decided not to. They tried to trade away Kemba Walker's contract. They trade away the rights to their draft pick, so they don't have to put any more money on their books. And then Kyrie Irving opts back into the contract, and now they have to go to Plan B, whichever that Plan B is. Probably Jalen Brunson. Yeah,
and you can and for all the people out there saying like a lot can still happen, Kyrie Irving can still get traded. Yeah, not to the Knicks. The Knicks haven't. Like, y'all understand how trades work, right? Like, in order to get traded to a different place, the other place has to have something of value that I want. Okay, so I have
And
Kyrie.
and I do not think Derrick Rose and Julius Randle and 3 first-round picks would get it done.
It wouldn't because okay, you it's enticing, the 3 first-round picks, that's interesting, right?
But none of them,
But
none of they're all like they're like owned by like playoff teams, like all 3 of them. Like
that
they're not
okay,
all that value. Like
like that, and is any one of those 3 draft picks gonna turn into Kyrie Irving? No, it's not. It's just not gonna happen.
yeah,
It's not.
yeah, yeah.
It's just that risk is not worth the potential of reward because I have Kyrie Irving now, right now, right? So yeah, the Knicks they drafted Ousmane Dieng just to ship him to OKC, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like seriously, like what are you doing? Like one of the things that you need is what this kid can possibly provide. We don't know much about him. We can't say he's a bum or this or that because we literally never heard of the kid until the draft process started.
I for sure don't watch a whole lot of New Zealand Breakers basketball.
I haven't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't watched an NBL season since LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton were over there. They left, so did I.
Yeah.
Right, and it's nothing against the players that play in that league because I saw a lot of former NBA players that still want to play. They play in that. You remember this? You remember that little point guard Aaron Brooks used to play for the Rockets?
Yeah.
That's where he's at.
Okay.
Over in Australia.
He played for the Bulls for a hot minute, right?
That I don't remember, but I remember him strictly being on the Rockets and being very good in Houston. Julius Randle was a disaster this past season. You didn't move off of him. You already know my focal point for the Knicks and how I feel about them. Like they should literally just focus on RJ Barrett and build that team around him and go off to the races from there. Julius Randle regressed into the ground this past season. He goes from most improved to
unplayable at times.
Unplayable at points. Like he literally cost the Knicks a game against the Suns on national TV. We all saw it.
Yep.
We thought Tom Thibodeau was gonna get fired. My man still got the coaching job. Hold on strong, Coach Tibbs, because I feel like once you get fired, yo man, this is it.
I think
is
so
all
too.
She wrote.
Yeah, I think he'll be a career assistant after that probably.
Like this is all she wrote in the final. Just like this will be the final nail in the coaching career that is Tom Thibodeau. Yeah, Jalen, like it is headline after headline. They are quote unquote all in on snagging Jalen Brunson away from the Mavericks. And if I'm Jalen Brunson, hey, bruh, get paid, young man, get paid. I have no issue with you chasing the bag and getting the bag. I really don't.
Me either.
I have no issue with that whatsoever because according to you and your peoples, the Mavericks had the deal on the table. You ain't like it. You decided to play for a new contract. You won. You definitely won. You played your way into a better contract. Now there's no discount. So if the Knicks want to max you out, go get maxed out, homie. I have no issue with it whatsoever.
100% agree. So my other one of my I got a couple more losers. So my other one is Charlotte.
Charlotte.
I don't understand this decision that they made here. So they traded the 13th pick in the draft, which is fine, but the pick that they got back in return is not going to be as good as 13 in 2025. Like it's a Milwaukee Bucks 2025 pick, and God willing, as long as Giannis doesn't get hurt, they're not going to be picking any earlier. They're not going to be a lottery team anytime soon. Like I don't understand what they did here. I don't understand this decision making. You trade the 13th pick away for a future pick that won't be as good as 13. Have that make sense to me? Have it make any sense at all? I know they got a couple second round picks as well, but who cares?
They got like 4 second round picks, didn't they?
Yeah, they did get a lot of second round picks in this deal, but
like that's the most second round picks I've ever heard of getting shipped off at one point to one team at one given point ever. Like I've never seen a team get 4 second round picks in any capacity in any kind of trade. Like it just doesn't happen. Also, I don't know why, because it's not like, I mean, I get it, second round picks have become quote unquote more valuable, especially when
the last 2 MVPs was a second round pick.
right? Like that, and that's the point I was getting, like, right? Like the reigning two-time MVP, back-to-back MVP, is a second-round pick, right? Every second-round pick ain't gonna be Joker. Like, as that's just how it is.
And every second round pick is not going to be Draymond Green or whoever else. I mean, or Manu Ginobili. Like, just those guys don't exist.
Exactly.
Those guys don't exist all that often.
Dennis Rodman, like every second round pick, like because Dennis Rodman was a second round pick. For you to trade away Jalen Duren to the Detroit Pistons just to draft Mark Williams when you eventually did get back on the board to make a pick. Again, that was, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, what does that mean for Kai Jones, who you have just stashed away in the G League? You're just not going to see him.
I think it means he's going to be staying over there for a hot minute longer. I don't know.
I mean, like, you also had an issue with the head coach. I mean, you had to go back to Steve Clifford, which I'm sure you didn't want to. You didn't want to do that. But when you got, I don't know what the issue was.
They hired Steve Clifford?
Yeah, they
What?
You didn't see that? You didn't see my message?
I must have missed that. I had a weekend.
That's right, you did, because you're old.
Yeah.
You're hurting. You was hurting because you're old. And I made fun of you and Izzy for it, because y'all old. And John Wall is going to sign with the Clippers. John Wall, right here, breaking news. John Wall is signing with the Clippers.
That's a great fit for him.
But anyway, back to the weekend that you had that you don't remember because you're old, and I'm making fun of it because you're old. Keep in mind, people, I'm not 30 yet, so they keep assuming
Steve Clifford didn't even achieve anything when he was there the first time in Charlotte. Why would they rehire Steve? Well,
no. Steve Clifford did guide them to the playoffs once.
Okay.
That one time. Right, I mean, like,
he didn't even have a winning record when he was there the first time. Like, bring back
David. They had to do something, right? I mean,
you don't hire a guy. I mean, this is like, are you kidding me?
No. Wait. I'm not disagreeing with you. Not disagreeing with that notion, but again, like when everybody's like, "Where's Mark Jackson?" Again, if I'm Mark Jackson, I have a very comfortable job in this booth.
Yeah,
and I'm getting paid very good in this booth. So you want me to leave this booth, you either have to match what I get paid or pay more. And you have to stay out of my business as a coach. Because that's what happened in Golden State. That's part of the reason why that course ran sour.
That is I cannot believe Steve Clifford. Wow.
But who do you get? Who do you? The guy you?
I know Kenny. I know Kenny Atkinson bailed on the job, but like
he bailed.
This is.
He said no. He's like, I'm going to stay in Golden State.
That is absolutely baffling. I cannot believe that. Like, you just bring in the guy. He didn't win anything there. They got a losing record as a coach at the same. Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
So
wow.
So yeah. I don't. That's where we're at now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, this is where we're at now.
Who's your most shocking pick? What was your most?
I got two more losers. Hold on.
You got two more losers? Let me hear it.
We'll just burn through them real fast. So Warriors, I don't necessarily love the Patrick Baldwin Jr. fit on the Golden State Warriors. I think he's, if I was him, I would have gone back to college. I would have transferred somewhere else and see if you could improve your draft stock. But I also don't love his fit on this team. Like, I think he's just going to waste away in the G League there. Like, he's never going to play. Like, they needed to add, like, more depth at, like, the rim, like, big depth. And Patrick Baldwin's not a shot blocker. He's not a big. Like, he's 6'10", but he ain't a big.
No, he a little light in the pocket.
Yeah.
You catch my drift.
And then I got two others, but they're kind of the same. The first one is these fans expecting this blockbuster trade during the NBA draft. So people expecting that Javonte Murray, John Collins, Kyrie Irving, any of those, Bradley Beal, any of those types of trades that you were expecting, like those types of trades, they just didn't happen during this draft. And if you were expecting that, you were probably pretty disappointed right now.
All right. Okay. So for that being said, like, okay, we are Bulls fans here, right? We're Bulls fans here. I'm pretty active on Twitter. David is new to the Twitter game. I follow Casey Johnson. Casey Johnson has been covering the Bulls for about Well, I'm 28. Probably about as long as I've been alive, maybe give or take a year or two, right? The Bulls tried hard to move out of 18. They tried to move up or back. Like they were willing to do both, and it just wasn't happening. So it just was not happening. So teams that tried to move up, or like we had one trade, one
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, I mean, we did have some minor trades, like Memphis and Minnesota and Houston did a bunch of swapping,
which was super complicated to follow, and
yeah.
I recommend them never doing that again, because we had two NBA insiders tweeting two different things.
Well, those are two separate trades. That Denver, Detroit, Detroit, New York, Oklahoma City, Charlotte 4-way trade. Yeah, we had basically had all the experts basically getting it wrong. or contradicting themselves. My second big loser is actually connected to one of those experts, and it's anybody who follows Woj on Twitter and also watched the draft. Like,
I follow Woj.
So like if you were watching, if like you had Woj's Twitter up and you were watching the draft, like every pick was ruined before it got announced. Like he basically had it was on TV. He was like literally on TV, being on TV, rooting the draft that he was broadcasting. Like
I'm telling you, like when we did the live coverage, I'm like, this is what he does, man. Like
he's sitting there on TV, ruining the draft that he's broadcasting. Like, oh, I'm just gonna we're gonna go see who Adam Silver's gonna pick. He's already tweeted who the pick's gonna be. He already knows who the pick is.
Like he was beating Adam Silver to the podium. Like that was
by a long time. Like if you were like watching his Twitter follow and like you were watching the draft at the same time, the draft was being progressively ruined. Like I bet people had to click off his Twitter account, like to just get off of it, like in order to enjoy the rest of the show. Like
I think it was like 2 years ago. Like Donovan Mitchell was like, "Damn, Woj, like we actually want to watch the draft."
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
So no, but that's funny though. But like seeing them get it wrong a couple times, like that was actually like about the trade and stuff. Like that was actually funny. Because it's not often. No, like it's not often that those guys like Woj and Shams Charania. It's not often that those dudes are wrong at all on it. Like it's not often that they contradict them. Like that doesn't happen. Like not as often as you might think it does. Like that does not happen at all. Most shocking pick.
So most shocking pick, I guess I'm gonna go Christian Braun at 21, really early. David Roddy at 23 from Memphis, it's crazy early. But I will say AJ Griffin going 16 to the Hawks. The fact that he fell out of the top 10, I kind of had him as like a lock top 10 pick. I think in my mock draft I had him at like the 7 or 8. The dude shot it like out of his mind in college, and usually those guys go early in the draft. For AJ Griffin to fall to 16 to the Atlanta Hawks, that's pretty shocking to me.
Yeah, AJ Griffin and again, it's you're drafting the same player again, right? Like you have we don't know what's going to happen with John Collins, right? We have no idea what's going to happen with him. You have some decisions to make on Gallinari and the other shooter.
Well, DeAndre Hunter might be a free agent this offseason.
And DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah.
And Bogdan Bogdanovic. Like you have so you just add AJ Griffin to the mix, and I pray I'm wrong, but I don't want what happened to Cam Reddish to happen to this young man. All right, like Cam Reddish, when he got the year that the Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Finals, when Cam Reddish got valuable minutes, when he got more than just 6 minutes a game, and he was able to run. Cam was giving them buckets, right?
Yeah,
he was proving
he was very good in that playoff series. But what happens with him all the time? He just can't stay healthy. Another kind of surprising pick is the Andrew Nembhard pick from Gonzaga, going in the first pick in the second round. Even though there was like Kennedy Chandler was still on the board and Jaden Hardy was still on the board, like arguably better prospects than Andrew Nembhard, and Bryce McGowan's too, EJ Liddell. It's just it's a pretty surprising pick that this guy went above those guys.
Yeah, like that is. I'm gonna call.
No disrespect to Andrew Nembhard. Like no disrespect to him,
at all. But when you play on a team, I think Andrew Neymar, he also falls into he fell into that trap, right? Like there's so many players on the team like Gonzaga, right? How do you, especially when you're headlined by Chet Holmgren and
Timmy.
oh god, yeah, Drew Timmy. Like how do you separate yourself, right? Like how do you stick out amongst those two dudes? Like you're a betting favorite for the Natty year in and year out. I just don't know why they keep betting on Gonzaga to win the Natty. Like it just
Yeah,
like
just it's not gonna happen.
like your best bet was last year and you got manhandled in the national championship. But like you just
yeah.
like how you used to talk about NIU like wanting to play bigger teams like a Florida State and switch conferences. Like how you used to say NIU just didn't belong. That was Gonzaga in that national championship against Baylor, bro. Like they just like straight up just didn't belong. Like they looked overwhelmed and outmatched. Um, seeing a EJ Liddell, like you said, fall all the way to 41.
But he goes to a good situation though. Like good
He
for
goes
him.
to yeah. Because you have a head, not a head scratching, a question mark that is Zion Williamson, who's looking great, by the way. Zion's looking really great.
It's true.
Right?
It's
but
true.
it doesn't matter how great he looks when the health is constantly in question, right? I also look for what's his name, Sideshow Bob, Jackson Hayes to get traded at some point. I feel like
I
Hayes
think he's a restricted free agent. I don't expect him back on this team.
and yeah, me either. I don't like it was not a good tenure for him there. It didn't go as I thought. It didn't go as well as we both thought it would be for a guy that was drafted 10th overall.
Yeah.
All right, like you don't draft a guy 10th overall to come off your bench. Like that's an NBA starter.
So he's got a team option for next season that I don't know when the timeline is that they have to accept it. They may have already done that. So yeah, I guess he will be on the team next year.
So my head scratching pick is 100%, no doubt about it. Peyton Watson at 30 to Denver. The young kid, and this is no shot at him, right? This young man, he worked his ass off, right? He worked his ass off to get to this point. You have to be some special. I don't care if it's at the bottom of the first round. You can say at the end of the day, you were a first round pick. You were a first overall pick of an NBA team. That's something everybody after you, well, everybody in the second round can't say, but you can say that. All right, it's nothing against you. 19 years old. You're 203 pounds. You're going to have to get some more bricks in your back pocket to play at the next level, clearly. But you average
6'8", 7 foot wingspan.
You average 3 points a game. That's what it says here. 3 points.
3.3 points a game, 2.9 rebounds, 12.7 minutes per game. And this guy went in the first round.
And you shot 32% from the field. That's what this says.
I don't know,
that's
man. For me, there's two. So, I already talked about David Roddy. He was like the 70th prospect in this draft, and the Memphis Grizzlies took him in the first round at like 23. He's a 6'6" guard, 255 pounds. He's actually, got a little bit of bulk to him. So he reminds me a little bit of a Marcus Smart, a little bit taller Marcus Smart. But
here's the thing. It can be head scratching, but at least Memphis can say we drafted a guy who in his last year of college averaged 19 points a game. 19, 7, and obviously you would like to see him average more than 3 assists a game because it says 2.9. Me and David already talked about this. Anytime it's like 2.8, 2.9, that's 3. That's 3 assists. That's a 3.
And then my second one is, this isn't really a head scratch. I guess it's kind of sort of head scratching. The fall of Jaden Hardy in this draft.
Jaden Hardy,
So Jaden Hardy goes from being like a top 5 prospect when he came out of high school. He goes to the G League Ignite team. I mean, he didn't have such a poor season that he deserved to fall this far. And I felt so bad for him, like sitting there at the table waiting for his name to get called. The entire first round goes by. And then even like the Lakers, I thought he'd be a great fit on that Lakers team.
I thought he'd
like,
be a great fit for the Lakers.
Yeah, if the Lakers could have, like, instead of taking Max Christie, who's going to be a fine player, also not related to Doug Christie, which is a little disappointing. But he goes to the Kings, a pretty decent situation for him.
Jaden Hardy. No, he's going.
You got to Dallas. That's even a better situation for him, actually. But yeah, I just felt bad for the kid. Like, he just had to sit there and wait for his name to get called, and like I thought he was going to go to the Bucks. I thought the Sixers could have used a guy like him. It's just a little head scratching that Jaden Hardy didn't go earlier in this draft.
Yeah. Oh, another one. Wendell Moore got drafted by Dallas to get traded to Minnesota. Now, if you're Minnesota, you have a lot of players. You have a couple players on your roster that does exactly what Wendell Moore does, unless some of those dudes aren't going to be there by the time free agency rolls around. You get what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, that's certainly a possibility.
Like the the Walker Kessler pick, I get that one, right? You need a backup to Cat. Naz Reid is more of a power forward. So, and I don't know his contract situation at all. So,
he's got another year, I think, on it. I think when we did this last time, when I looked it up.
So if you're Walker Kessler, and if I'm oh God, what is it? Is it Chris? No, is it Chris Finch? Is that the head coach?
So Naz Reid has a partially guaranteed contract for next season, so I don't really know exactly what that means. Who's the other guy?
I was talking about Minnesota's head coach. Like, it's Chris Finch, right?
Chris Finch. Yeah, that's his name.
So if you're Chris Finch, now you can play around with your own quote unquote twin towers of sort. Like, you can slide Cat to the 4, put Walker Kessler at the 5, play those two dudes together.
Yep.
Cat becomes more of a stretch figure. Well, he already is a stretch figure, so he can definitely be that. Like, he can be that stretch figure. There's no telling the mismatches that you can cause, right, with that. So yeah, that's what I'm. But back to Wendell Moore, that's my confusion. That's a shocking pick to me, because it's like, where is he gonna fit in on your rotation? Right, like where?
I don't know. They'll figure it out. I mean, this you got to draft talent, I guess. Moving on to the other situation, the NBA soap opera that is the Brooklyn Nets continues to get more interesting every day. So today, Kyrie Irving opting into his $36.5 million deal to remain for the Brooklyn Nets for one more season. Last week, Kyrie Irving created a list of teams he wanted to go to, but only the Lakers made an offer, and apparently it was laughable, and the Nets declined it. This is right off the heels of a report from Woj earlier today that said that Kevin Durant was requesting a trade from Brooklyn. The teams on Kyrie Irving's list was the Clippers, Lakers, Knicks, Heat, and Bulls.
Yeah, Heat.
Yeah. So what now? What happens now? What happens with the soap opera that is this team? This franchise.
Well, Brian Windhorst, who's also a respectable figure in NBA media, also came out and said that at some point they being the Nets were 100% ready to lose both Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, as they said, hey, we would rather blow this thing up than to go through and suffer like we did this past season.
Yeah.
All at the hands of brother Kai Third Eye right here, Kyrie Irving. Right? Kyrie Irving, while his basketball genius is unmatched or matched by very few, right? There's very few who can say they can handle the ball better than Kyrie Irving, anybody.
Ever.
Like, when you say ball on the string, he can make the ball do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah. That's
that man. But, bruh, I appreciate the transformation you're going through spiritually, right? Like, he found, I don't know if you know this, he found his Native American roots. He went to he went to his tribe in South Dakota. He got his tribal name. He's converted to Islam. He practices Ramadan, which is why we saw him leaving games against the Celtics after sunset so we can get something to eat. First off, shout out to him, because I don't know how, bro, it is hard to do anything, let alone play in an NBA game after not eating all day,
Yeah, it's tough.
after not eating and drinking no water all day, right? But bro, like for you to act like you're the smartest man in the room at all times, no, you get humbled quickly because for all your basketball genius, there's gonna be a day where at some point in time it's gonna be it's not worth it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're gonna find yourself with hat in hand. You may say you're all right, you don't need this, and I get that, right? To you, basketball is not the end all be all, and for a lot of the athletes nowadays, their respective professional sport is not their end all be all. It shouldn't
Well,
be.
well, I mean,
No,
the thing is, they're only going to be most people, that play professional sports. Like 10 years is probably the average that you play. But so that's only a small chunk of your life. So you need to have other
yeah,
stuff that you want to do when you're
that you
done
want to
playing
do,
professional sports.
right?
Like,
Like I remember when Derrick Rose was criticized heavily for saying he wants to be able, like this is after he had gone through the two knee surgeries in back-to-back years, and he had sat out basically 2 years rehabbing those injuries, and they gave him a new contract, and he was like, I want to be able to take care of my family, I want to be able to walk at graduations, da da da. He was criticized for saying that. Now looking back, fans are like, oh, now basketball ain't the end all be all. That's why you see a lot of basketball players invest in this, invest in that, have side businesses and whatnot and everything. Russell Westbrook has his own production company. Russell Westbrook has his own fashion line. Kevin Durant has his own thing. Kyrie Irving has his own thing. I'm not even going to get into the bevy of stuff LeBron James is into. It's too much to keep track of.
Yeah, he's got a tequila now. Like, LeBron James is a busy man. Like, does he sleep? I doubt it. I don't think he does.
I don't know. But so I also we can't sit here and act like we didn't see Kyrie Irving opting into this contract, bro. That's $37 million. Who on God's green earth would say I'm going to forfeit $37 million so I can play for $6 million in this location? I'm going to lose $30 million.
And go to the Lakers and not be as good as this Nets team is going to be next season. Like it didn't make any sense.
I'm going to lose $30 million. On top of that, like you said, I'm going to go to a Lakers situation where at any given point, if it looks like it's not going to work, who's going to get the blame? Not LeBron, not AD, me. I'm going to get the blame.
Yeah.
Because I'm the new cog into the system that is the Los Angeles Lakers. So, yeah. So the soap opera that isn't it, now we talked about this too. We both agreed on this. This year for the Nets, this has to be the year. Anything short of an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, that's failure.
I can go one step further. If they don't win the title next season,
I get that.
It will be a failure of a season.
I get that. The reason I said Eastern Conference Finals is because the East is going to get better, right? Like Miami's going to make moves, Milwaukee's going to be healthy, Boston knows what they need to do to get back. Like Boston just played in the finals. Like once you play in a finals, there's no other feeling like that, bro. Like you're not going to be satisfied until you get back to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, but I mean, if they don't win the title next season, this whole narrative, this whole discussion around Kyrie Irving, we're just gonna have to do this again next year. Like it's to say, the only difference is for sure going to be a free agent where you can, and more teams will have more cap space next summer. I don't know the exact number, I don't have that information in front of me, but there will be teams with some immense cap space next year. There's just so like the Brooklyn Nets kind of had him in a bind. Like they knew that there was nowhere for him to sign out with if he decided to opt out of this money and become a free agent. There was nowhere he could go as a free agent unless the Knicks continue to dump salary and maybe he could go there. But so they had to they called his bluff. Like, hey, we're not trading you. We're not. You're going to opt in and play for us, or you're going to go play for the Magic. Like,
and it's kind of. And like I get your point, but Kyrie Irving can also say I had them in the bind too. Right?
No, he didn't. No. Kyrie Irving never had any leverage.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
You let me back. Yes, he. Damn it! Listen, he had. Yes, he did. You let me back. I spent the whole season not getting vaccinated when I very well could have. You sent me away. You didn't have to bring me back. You literally could have told you literally could. They literally could have said, "Hey, you're not gonna play at all as long as you're not vaccinated. You're not playing." What did they do? Like it was fine. Shit went south really fast because KD got hurt. They
Yeah.
went from first. They went from first to like 12th and out of the play-in.
11th, yeah.
And they had to go back hat in hand. Hey, Kyrie, yeah, we kind of need you to come back. We don't care if it's just on the road for right now, but at some point, the New York mayor is going to lift the vaccine mandate, and you're going to be able to play at home. So just ride it out, yeah, whoa. The Nets didn't have to do that. So if I'm Kyrie Irving, I can say, you let me come back when you didn't have to, and I can say, you lose me. You know who else going to walk out?
It's true.
I don't know. Some guy named Kevin Durant. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I think,
So,
yeah, if they had lost him, yeah, Kevin Durant would be gone.
So Kyrie Irving definitely had more leverage than folks think he did.
Yeah, but not as much as I think that he thought he did, because there are really only so many places you could even go. But yeah, I mean, this narrative starts up again next summer. We'll have to deal with it again next summer, unless they decide to trade him near the trade deadline, depending on how the season goes. But yeah, real quick before we get up out of here, let's talk about John Wall to the Clippers. What do you think about that fit?
Again, I'm man enough to say when I'm wrong, right? I thought there is no way in hell a team would just eat basically $50 million in dead money, like $50 million in cap space, right? Like that's what John Wall owed.
Yeah.
Not fit. Listen, wow, 47. What's a $3 million difference?
I don't know exactly what the buyout number is.
They have not released that at all. Like they just said it's a buyout and he's signing with the Clippers.
So he's 41 million is the amount.
That's a lot of money.
So they decided to pay John Wall $41 million to just disappear.
Disappear.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I reiterate, right? The Houston Rockets never not wanted John Wall to play. They just wanted him to come off the bench because he's coming off an injury. Right. So
and I mean, they wanted to prioritize the development of Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green because they're the future of this team. John Wall, as much as he's still getting paid $44 million, the dude's not the future of this roster. It's like if they could have traded him last season and got something legitimate, like decent for him, they would have. But with his contract, it was stuck.
Well, it's not a good look that teams are like, hey, what's going on with John Wall? All they have to say is, hey, man, all we asked him to do is come off the bench. He said no, so we said go home. That's it. Is he hurt? No, probably not anymore. But we're asking him to be basically our sixth man, and or at least come off the bench until he's healthy enough to start him. So they probably could have tried out a starting lineup with a starting backcourt of John Wall and Jalen Green together and move Kevin Porter Jr. either to that 3 spot or come off the bench as a sixth man. And John Wall's just like, no, I'm not with none of that. You either start me or, don't play me at all. And they're like, all right, fuck it. We ain't going to play you at all. Yeah. Go home.
Yeah. And now he gets to join a Los Angeles Clippers team that has Kawhi Leonard coming off an ACL tear. Didn't play it all last season. And they have, Paul George. They have Reggie Jackson. I actually really like his fit.
Hey, Paul George, you should be well rested because let's not keep in mind let's not he missed a bunch of games. What was it? An elbow injury, right?
Yeah, he was. It was an elbow injury, ECL or I don't remember what the exact
UCL, something
UCL.
Like that.
There you go. Yeah, UCL.
We kind of saw him run into a brick wall with that game against the Bulls because that game went into overtime, and Tyronn Lue was like, "We need this game to, not be in the play-in, and the Bulls need this game to secure their seeding. As much as I don't want to play you 50 minutes, Paul George, and you just got back, kind of need to play you 50 minutes because you just got back and we need this game." Yeah. But I like it. I mean, I like the fitting. I just don't know. You have to what John Wall are we getting? That's the question. Like that, we haven't seen John Wall like you bring it up all the time. It's been a long time since we've seen John Wall do something competitive. It's been a long time.
Yeah, he's only played 70 games in the last 4 seasons combined. Like, but if you are the Clippers, you have very little risk here. You're basically signing him to mid-level veteran minimum. It's like nothing, basically. There's not a lot of risk here.
Worried, right? But you're not worried about that because he just got $41 million from
Yeah.
the Houston
Yeah,
Rockets.
you're not worried. The gamble is very small.
So now you have to ask, what's his role?
He's the starting point guard of this team.
Is he?
Yeah. Reggie Jackson goes to the bench and becomes your sixth man.
Who's the two? Who's the two? And it's Kennard, right? Luke Kennard.
No, Paul George I think starts at the 2 or the 3. Hold on. Give me a second. Luke Kennard doesn't start for them, or should be starting for them at least.
You say shouldn't be starting for them. You just disrespectful.
I was just saying, dude. So Paul George is starting shooting guard. Kawhi Leonard, small forward. Robert Covington, power forward, and then Zubac is their starting center. And then coming off the bench, you would have Trey Mann, Norman Powell,
Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, and Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah.
So
you push Reggie Jackson gets pushed to the bench,
which is his natural role.
Yep.
Okay, I get it. So yeah,
I like it. I think if the Clippers can't win a championship this season, they'll never win one.
I would hate to be Steve Ballmer, and I'm getting ready to break. No, they've already They've already broke ground on the new stadium. I would hate to be Steve Ballmer, and I open my new $2 billion arena and not have any headline players. Right?
Well, he's for sure going to have Paul George. I don't know what's going to be left of Paul George when he gets there, but he'll be on the team.
I would hate for him to open that arena and be in somewhat of a rebuild. Right? You're already battling. You already know how I feel about that situation. If I'm if I was Steve Ballmer, I would have petitioned the rest of the NBA owners for relocation altogether, because there's no matter what I do, I'm not gonna top the Lakers. I could win 15 championships in a row. The Clippers will never be bigger than the Lakers.
I think if they win 15 in a row, they may push a little. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. We're going to do a free agent show. I think free agency starts on Thursday, so we'll probably run that show on Wednesday, previewing a little bit on free agency. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing that Washington Commanders season preview, so you don't want to miss that content. Please like, share, and subscribe us here at Prime Sports World. This has been our 2022 NBA Draft Recap.
Just a note that the NBA Draft, all 5 Duke's starting 5 players were drafted in the NBA Draft that night.
There you go.
Banchero, Mark Williams, AJ Griffin, Wendell Moore, Trevor Keels. All 5 of them got drafted.
There you go. Good for those kids. But yeah, I've been David Huppin right there. It's Mr. TJ Hopkins. We'll be back here tomorrow. TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
I'm being petty right now. Hey, so John Wall signed with the Clippers. They say if only IR could win a title. We bring the heat and the pettiness at the Prime, because that's funny.
Yeah, we throw some serious shade here at the Prime sometimes. I've been David Huppin right there. This is TJ Hopkins. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out, brother.
See you, man. That's funny.